So earlier today, Vladimir Putin used a state-run documentary to reiterate Russia's demands in its war against Ukraine. Even though we are 3 years into this war, Putin once again made it clear that the Kremlin still seeks the total subjugation of Ukraine militarily, politically, and territorially. He again denied Ukraine's right to exist as a sovereign nation, calling Ukrainians a subset of the Russian people. His demands remain unchanged: dismantle Ukraine's military, overthrow its government, block its path to NATO and the European Union, and seize vast swaths of its territory. In short, Putin's message is that Russia will accept nothing short of Ukraine's surrender, which is what I have said from the effing beginning. Only Trump has foolishly wasted valuable time with his deals, and this whole administration has failed while giving Putin months of breathing room. Anyway, Putin tried to mask his desperation with bravado, projecting false confidence in Russia's economic resilience and military capabilities despite mounting losses and a hollowed-out economy. He wrapped his message in appeals to Russian nationalism and sacrifice, attempting to hold together public support for a war that is frankly bad for 99% of the Russian populace. His language revealed a regime clinging to outdated imperial fantasies, unwilling to accept that Ukraine will never return to Moscow's control. Instead, Putin smeared the West for allegedly betraying the 2015 Minsk Agreement, which is an accusation that conveniently ignores Russia's consistent violations of every single previous Ukrainian deal. But the broadcast wasn't just aimed at domestic audiences. Putin was also sending a message to Washington, scoffing at the US peace plans while alluding that Russia is not backing down, that diplomacy is dead unless it ends on the Kremlin's terms, and that he is prepared to drag the war out indefinitely. Putin's claims that Russia has the resources to reach a, quote, logical conclusion is a bluff meant to intimidate, not a credible assessment of Russia's declining military and economic position. But Putin is hopeful that Trump bites at it, as Trump has done that before. Russia is actively reshaping itself into a war state. The economy is being retooled like how Japan and Germany did in the 1930s. Schools are indoctrinating youth with military propaganda under the banner of patriotic education. 2025 has been branded the, quote, year of the defender of the fatherland, end quote, a title that honestly speaks more to the regime's insecurity than genuine pride in the country. War veterans are being bought off for their loyalty or just paid to keep quiet about the realities of the war, all while dissent is crushed and civil society is hollowed out. Putin's rhetoric and his rejection of any compromise is unchanging, and I have warned about this several times over and over again. Russia is not preparing for peace, it's preparing for more war, not just with Ukraine, but potentially other countries and including NATO, as it embraces permanent confrontation with the West, as it hopes to scare the US with nuclear saber rattling while simultaneously wooing us with false promises of talks to buy time. And they are doing this to build up their military. Now, the White House has yet to issue a direct response to the documentary, but one thing is becoming clear. Trump's patience with Russia is thinning, and he is coming to realize that he is being played. So he seems to be softening his stance on supporting Ukraine, but he will be extremely stubborn and slow to change his mind, because it only requires a few words of flattery from Putin to destroy months of hard work from Zelensky. Nonetheless, the longer the war drags on, the clearer it becomes that Putin is willing to sacrifice his own country's future to avoid admitting failure. But Putin's words didn't project strength. They expose the fragility of a dictator who bet everything on a failed war and now has no way out but more lies, more death, and more isolation. The thing is, though, the US and its Western partners need to finally come together and ensure that the isolation grows and the more deaths happen to Russia than they do to Ukraine via robust and legitimate military support.